Welcome back to Forbidden Knowledge News. I'm your host, Chris Matthew, and tonight I want to welcome back to the show from the Blue Kool-Aid channel, Mark Wages. How you doing tonight, Mark?
Doing good, Chris. How about yourself, buddy?
Oh, I am doing good. You've been doing some interesting research, and you've pulled up some interesting data that you'd like to share with everybody. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to you. What you got for us tonight?
Okay. Well, I found some information, and it came through a subscriber. Kind of tipped me off. I haven't been in this community for probably 2.5 years, maybe. So anything that happened like years ago, I didn't really know about. So and this subject's been talked about before, but it has been kind of swept under the rug, and nobody's been talking about it. And I think that it needs brought back up because we're starting to see. And I'm talking about the magnetopause is what I'm talking about for the viewers here. We're starting to see different things, and it's starting to look like the same thing, frankly, is what I'm saying. The fact that they thought it important enough to try to scrub this data from the net just lends to the validity of what actually happened. You go out here, and what I'm talking about, in 2012, there was a magnetopause reversal. Now, the first thing I want to say there is it's not a magnetic polar reversal. It's our magnetopause. It's not our poles flipping. It's our magnetic field, basically. I'll just use that term very, very loosely. It's what protects us from the sun, the solar rays, and all those kinds of things.
Right.
What it did was it reversed. Our shield flipped over to the other side for a specific time, and I'll show you guys a video here in a few minutes. I got a couple different ones, but and it wasn't a glitch. It wasn't a tool problem. Okay, and the reason why I say that is because I have data from the SWMF tool, which is what our tax dollars pay for. And then there was a Japanese tool that was being used back then that also caught it. So there's different stuff here that just lends to all this. And then, and I keep going back to this, and I'll probably say it 1,000 times, so forgive me if I do. But they scrubbed it. They don't do that unless
they don't want you to see something.
They don't want you to see something, If it's a true mistake, like a tool malfunction, they're going to let you see it. They're just going to say, hey, they'll send an email out or whatever, make an article and say, hey, our tool had a malfunction. This is what's going on. If they just try to get it off of there, for the layman, most people won't even see it because, and even the data I have, it's going to look like it was only there for 4 to 6 hours, but it actually lasted 28 hours. So what that means is that we were completely open to anything from the sun. Okay, any kind of energy that was coming off of the sun. Now, if God forbid, if we'd had a CME Earth facing when that was down, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation because we wouldn't have electricity. It would have fried the whole system. Of course, that's been 7 years ago now. So yeah, I mean, it's just it would be. We've all heard about the Carrington event. Most of us have. When it fried all the telegraph lines. Way back when. Okay, now this is something that during my research I tried to figure out if this was something that naturally happens in like a cycle, of if you could use that, and it's not. Okay, and this is what leads me to even talk about this, because the research that I've done, it is not natural. The only way that this happens is if there is a third magnet involved. Okay, when I talk about magnet, I'm talking about the Earth being a magnet and the sun being a magnet, and we're connected to each other. Okay, the only way that these things reverse like that is if there's a third magnet involved. Has to be something there. So when that does happen, it is not a natural thing. Now, it can happen naturally, but for us, it's not. It should not happen like it did. And the research that I did, it showed that they would expect it maybe to happen once or twice every like million years. So it happened back in 2012. We caught it again happening in 2017. There was data each year that it happened that is you can't even find it. There were certain, and I don't want to, I'm not going to dox anybody or anything like that, but I've been talking to some people that had some of this data and some of this information, and the one person even had their whole house. They fried their whole house, all the electronics in their house, and they lost everything. Okay, wow. They lost anything that they had. They lost brand new TVs, brand new computers that they had just gotten. So any data that they had on that was gone. Wow. And that was shortly after this person had started talking about this. So that's, you know, so all that stuff plays in. Now we can sit here and talk about that all day long, but you know, it's just the fact that they did try to scrub it from the net. I mean, that is something that really bothered me. So I did dig into it, and you know, I have to really give a whole lot of credit to the subscriber. Her name was Sherry, and she really tipped me off to this, and it's something that I didn't even know happened. And then I was corresponding with Scott Cione over at Planet X News, and Terrell Blackstar contacted me because I did a video on it, and so I was speaking to them, trying to figure out exactly what's going on. You know, just trying to educate myself on how, why, when, what exactly was all this. So I guess the best thing to do, Chris, would probably just to show these videos real quick, so everybody
Definitely
gets an idea of what's going on here.
Yeah.
So I need to share my screen, correct? Let's do that.
And last week, or I think it was either last week or the week before, I had Ben from Suspicious Observers on, and he was talking about the process of the magnetic reversal that we're currently going through. And, you know, according to his research, we're deep in it. And, you know, the process has been long going on, and we're towards the final stages. And, you know, hearing that from him, you know, with all the research he does is quite concerning, you know?
Right. Oops. I think I muted you, bud. Sorry. Hold on a minute.
You there? You're on mute.
Now what? Got me now?
Yeah, I got you. You're good.
Okay. What do you guys see?
See your desktop, blue Kool-Aid.
Okay. You don't see that little, like our view here? You just see my desktop, correct?
I just see your desktop.
Okay. Just want to make sure. I didn't want my ugly mug on here ruin it for everybody. Anyway, we'll do it like this. Okay. And I'll probably just pause this, and I'm just going to use the slide bar. Okay. Let's do it like. Can everybody see that?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. What this is one of the models that we look at. This tracks like our Van Allen belts, our radiation. But this is part of our magnetopause, basically. It's part of the protection for the Earth. And what this does is it just shows over here on the graph. If you look over here, it's got, you know, the lighter colors, the blue, which would be colder, all the way up. Okay. I mean, it's a typical graph that we normally look at as far as colors and how the key works. But
this was August 2017.
Yes. If you look up here at the timestamp, this was 2017. Okay. And I'm going to show you a couple here because I want to show you that it just didn't happen once. And that's why I'm showing this, because the fact that they said that it only happened in the research that I've done may happen once or twice every million years. And then for us to see it happening multiple times in a span of, you know, 7 years just tells me something ain't right. So anyway, I'm just going to grab this. We'll just go this way with it. Okay. And you see how what I want to do, what I want to preface here real quick is, oops, what did I screw up there? Okay. Sun's over here. Okay. Just so everybody knows. I just wanted to tell everybody that. Actually, I guess I could have just used my cursor. But let's get out of that and grab that. Okay. Sorry about that. I'm having a little bit of difficulty here.
You're good.
Man, now I can't even shut the draw tool off. I might have to bounce out of this for a second. Let's do this. Oh, goodness. Sorry, guys.
No, yeah, take your time. You're good.
Let's just wonder if I can.
Now, this was a period of how long that you're
Right here? This right here would have been. Okay, there we go. Okay, we're going now. Now, this is just a few hours. Okay. Actually, I probably need to close this over here, don't I? Okay, maybe that'll do it. All right. Now, like I said, guys, this is just a couple hours here. Are you seeing this, Chris?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. The sun's off to the right. Okay. Now, what you're going to see is you're going to see all this stuff happening at the bottom. You're seeing it kind of circling around, then boom, look at that.
Right.
I mean, it completely flipped. All right. So when that happens, and like I said, what's important about this to know is the fact that when this happens, we're completely open on the backside. Our shields have went to the other direction because it's trying to protect us from something that on the backside. That's what it's doing. It flipped it. Now, like I said, it didn't stay like that. Thank God. So
now I'm not sure if Terrell and I discussed that when we talked, but did he have any theories as a to what could have caused that?
Well, I mean, that's pretty much what his theory is kind of on, is the black star. That's pretty much what it is. I think this is really initially what got him to look that direction. Was the fact that this happened. I think he was researching this some before, not this particular one. I'm talking about the event that happened in 2012. Now this is the 2017 one, and I'm showing this one because it's very, very easy to tell that it just flips. Now, and it's dramatic is what I'm getting ready to show you. I don't want to close all this out unless I know. Okay. There we go. That's better. I think I won't do that again to you guys. Sorry. I screwed that all up. Oh, my goodness. Okay. Now, this one here is, okay, this is a model that a lot of us will recognize. Okay. This is the ones that we typically look at, right? We got this is our magnetic shields. This is our magnetopaws. Okay. This is what it normally looks like. And what you're looking at, again, the sun's off here to the right. Okay.
Yep.
Now, this signature here isn't so crazy. Okay. This is almost a normal type of looking signature, other than the fact that you can clearly see that looks almost like a bow echo starting to form on the other side, which means that is our shield. So out here in the front, that's pretty much our shield. It's protecting us from the solar rays from the sun that we just constantly get bombarded with. If that wasn't there, we would not be here. Okay, I mean, that's just a fact. What's funny about this, guys, is that inside the Earth is, most people believe that it's molten and it moves. Okay, so when it moves is actually what generates our magnetic field. But the sun and the energy we get from the sun, on a normal sun cycle, not a solar minimum, which comes into play here in a minute. On a normal sun cycle, our shields are strong because we're getting ions and energy from the sun that just keep hitting us, and we absorb that, and it makes our shields stronger. So what's funny about it is that when the sun goes to sleep, like it is now, going into the solar minimum and the grand solar minimum, some people like Dr. Albers, she thinks that the sun's, dark. I have to say that, the sun can be dark, but it's not dead. Okay. That's what people have to understand. When you talk about stuff being dark, you're talking about visible light not being there. It doesn't mean that, and that's the whole thing about, Terrell's theory on a black star. You won't be able to see it, but it's still there. But what I'm saying is we get this energy from the sun, and it protects us out here in the front. So when the sun gets weak, so do we. All right. So what that does is it leaves us more vulnerable to CMEs. If there is a CME that's Earth facing when our shields are weak, it's going to affect us a lot worse. So in other words, a smaller strength CME exists, and I'm just going to, I may pause it or whatever, but just keep in mind, guys, the sun's off to the right. The shield should be out here in the front. This right here is important for what I'm going to talk about later. Okay, this bow, what's looking like a bow echo here in the back. And that is a natural signature if it's out here in the front, because it resembles, our shield's out in the front. So anyway, I'm going to hit play here. We'll just do it this way. And you see it start, it just did it like right away.
Yeah.
Did you see that? It was just, that's what's crazy, because it did it. When it decided to do it, if you look at the timestamp, it didn't take it long at all. Okay, if you look at the top at the timestamp, this right here is at 1612, and you go here is 1620. Look at this thing changing this fast. So from 1612 to 1640, it flipped all the way over. All right, now that's what you're seeing there. That is a flip. That's a magnetopause reversal. Okay, it just went to the other side. So, we're seeing this, and then see how crazy it gets, how chaotic, and then you see it flip back. You see that?
Right.
Now, that right there is concerning. And the reason why I say that, if you look at that, we don't have a shield anywhere.
Yeah.
There's nothing there. You can see that we have some, because what this is showing basically is heat. Okay, the reds are the hotter ones, the blue, and it's basically heat. That's a very basic, definition. And I'll just use that here. But yeah, you could tell that when this thing is moving from back, forward to back and all that.
Wouldn't this indicate some kind of electromagnetic connection to possibly another object, like you were saying, another magnet?
Yes, very much so. I have a diagram I'm going to show you here in just a minute, and I'm going to try to explain to everybody why and how this is happening. And I'm going to try to keep it basic. I really want to keep it basic, because it took me two to 3 weeks to even grab a really, really good understanding of what's going on here. So obviously in a show like what we're doing, I can't go that deep into it. But, I would send people over to, Terrell's webpage. I would send people to Scott Sion, definitely, for some of the information he's got on this. He has some of this data also. So sorry about that. That's just whatever part of that.
And for my audience, I know I haven't done a Planet X show in a while. I'm long overdue for one. But this coming Tuesday, I'm going to have Mr. Bob Fletcher on, and we will be discussing Planet X.
Yeah, that'd be a good one, man. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I'll definitely be watching that one. Yeah, you guys can see this. It's what, and this is why I'm showing you guys this one second, because it is more dramatic, and it does show you in such a way, like especially that one. That right there, if you look off here to the left, that looks exactly what's normally over here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. You're seeing this line right here, and that's supposed to be representing our shield lines. Okay, but it's not. That's just part of the model. That's something that ain't going to flip over here on this model. It probably, It may or may not. I doubt it, because it's just the way the model's built. And I think that's another thing we have to understand, that these are models. They're getting data from satellites. Okay, they're not, and ground-based, I guess I should say. It's not like somebody's taking a picture. Okay, and something else here that we have to really try, and this is hard to do. This is a two-dimensional model. We really have to try to think of this in a three-dimensional way. Because if you look at this straight on, yes, we can picture how something could go over the top and over the bottom, but we can't really picture how something could come straight through the middle and still not hit us. Basically, what it would be doing is, like if you're looking at a ball and you take your finger and you go right down the equator of this ball, as you're getting closer to the middle, it's getting closer to you. Does that make any sense? I know that's hard. That's hard to really grasp in your mind without a visual representation. But these are two-dimensional models. These are not three-dimensional. So we have to keep that in mind. That's a very important thing that we have to do here. I will. Let's see here. Let's get rid of it.
Yeah, that is concerning that this happened within a matter of two times within a matter of 2 years. And I
Uh-huh.
mean, we've only had access to this particular, satellite data for, I don't know how long they've been monitoring this particular, having this particular magnetopause data up, but, it is concerning that this happened in such a short amount of time.
Yeah, and it's multiple times. And another thing that we're starting to realize is, and I haven't said this yet, that it's happening around the same time of year. Now we ask ourselves when that happens is, how could, uh, in order for a third magnet to really hit us at the same time, it would have to be in a very, very similar orbit as us. Well, that's not true. And the reason why is because if you think about it, it's really our relation to the sun. Okay, so if you think about the magnetic connections, and I'll go into that here in a minute. And I do have a pretty good, it's a very simple but very, very good graphic to show you. But you spoke about how long have they been, monitoring this. Well, I can tell you right now that they've been monitoring this thing way longer than we could ever know. Because the stuff that we look at is paid for by our tax dollars, which is why we're allowed to look at it at all. So you take that for what it's worth. Anything else, anything that we get from, governmental sites, you really have to scrutinize it. That's what I'm going to say. I mean, you really have to dig into it, especially when you see a big thing happen. Because, and this is another piece of advice I would give people, if anybody ever goes and looks at these tools, and I can give Chris some links to everything here so he can put it in the video. If you guys ever do, and you guys are watching this current day, and you see something, please record it, please, because if you don't, and then they decide they want to erase it or say, hey, the data was corrupt or whatever excuse they want to use, at least we have it. Somebody will have it. I've made a habit that I actually keep my screen recorder on my desktop on all the time when I'm going through these tools, just in case. Because I've actually had to where I'll catch something, I'll log out, boot up my screen recorder, go back, and it's gone already. So, it's stuff like that. You really got to be quick on the draw. But,
Yeah.
I mean, the stuff that I'm showing isn't something an algorithm could catch. This is something that a human has to look at. And that's why it gets through. So I will say that. Now, they are getting better at it, I'm sure. They're getting their algorithms, ironed out that they do catch. And I'll go into that here in a minute. But this right here is the Japanese tool. This tool is no longer in operation. This wasn't our government. This is something that the Japanese had done. So what you're looking at is just another visual representation of that. That's all that it is. Okay. I think this is, this is the 8th of March 2012. It's the 2012 event. Okay, but this is their tool. Now you see what I want you guys to look at up here is it's pretty. This one here gives the best representation of what actually happens. Just because you'll see it really well. You see it getting all chaotic right there?
Yeah.
Okay, when you start seeing that stuff, you got to pay attention. I mean, and then it just, and I think at some level they decided they couldn't show it anymore. So you see what I'm saying? That was already censored.
Yeah.
Already. Okay, even before, this is back however long, man. I mean, this is a long time ago. But then we get into this. Okay, this is the graph that a lot of people recognize. Okay, this is the SWMF. This is up here at the timestamp. It does say, the 9th. Should I maximize this, Chris? Would that help?
Yeah, you can max.
Okay.
Yeah, better.
Is that better? Sorry about that, guys.
Yeah.
These are the lines, guys, and I like to explain this too, because the IMF lines, the blue lines, are the ones that are our connection to the sun. And I always say this in my videos, and other celestial bodies. Okay, because it doesn't necessarily have to be the sun. Okay, now
to all the planets in our solar system, right?
Right. And that's why this is such a big deal, because this is when I'm talking about a third magnet being involved. Because this is the only way what I'm talking about here can even happen. So I go through here, and again, you start seeing these IMF lines piling up in the front, you got to know something's coming. What this is indicating here is something's pushing this towards the right, okay, because it's pushing those lines of connection out that direction. So, you know, that's just kind of a start. But even we see this stuff today, okay? It's not like it's as, oh my gosh, you know, run for the hills type of thing, this particular capture. But you keep going and you see how this becomes very abnormal very, very quick. Okay, this is the 9th. Look at that. I mean, it's just so not normal. And then look, you see this? Okay, it's trying to fight back. This right here almost represents almost like a direct connection to the sun right here. Okay, that's pretty much what it is. But you're not seeing anything back here. There's nothing getting pushed out that way. It's in the process of doing what it did. So, and then it does that, and it fights back. Okay, and it gets all crazy again. And here, it's going to happen here in just a second. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
See that?
Wow.
Okay, now I will stop it right here and explain something too. If what you're looking at was reversed, that would be a perfect magnetopause signature. Okay? If this stuff was on this side,
yeah,
that would be perfectly normal. It doesn't get any straighter than that, is what I'm trying to say. So whatever flipped us, we connected to it and connected to it hard.
Now it's funny that you say it. You know, these occurrences happen based on its orbital path, its position at certain times, certain seasons. And what I can go by, you know, I still haven't made a decision. I don't know if Planet X is real. I don't know if this is being caused by Planet X. But stuff like this, it puts a compelling argument out there that, you know, you can't ignore. Something has to be causing this. And what I go by is my news reports through the years. There are certain times of the year where everything picks up, not only earthquakes and volcanoes, but the weather changes, extreme weather picks up. And I've noticed this happening around the same times each year. And I find it very interesting that you said that.
Well, I think you just hit it right on the head. You know, and I'm glad you said it because you just kind of attacked my thought pattern there a little bit. It has very much to do so with what side of the sun we're on. Okay, so that's in direct relation to our seasons. So it always makes sense. If you guys have ever watched anything, you'll see even like our stations, our channels that we do, it slows down in the winter for us. There's not much there. I mean, there's stuff there that always happens. Like we'll see objects, we'll do whatever we're doing. But as far as these big events like this, you don't see
spring and summertime.
Yes. It usually starts around March, and it usually goes down through July, August. And that's sometimes into September. We've seen it a couple times. Right. But that's about
2017 was probably the biggest year.
Yeah, as far as a lot of stuff that we caught, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I would have to agree. And then you got to fall back to the September 23rd, you know, sign. So, I mean, you fall back to you start, that's a whole nother conversation. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot. Yeah. And did you see that? Now watch.
No
What's
doubt.
that say? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thanks. Okay. I mean, really? I mean, come on now. It just cracks me up when I see stuff like that. And then that's the next image you get, Chris. Look.
Back to normal.
Okay. And what I want to show here, okay, that was the flip. Okay.
Yeah.
Right there. This is what it looked like right before it flipped. Okay? Keep that in mind. It flips. Well, then how does it flip back the other direction so fast and so quick and so perfect?
Yeah, no doubt.
That's a fake image, dude. I'm just saying it right now. That's what I think. That's what I think. I think they seen this happening. They pushed it off. They did this. They did that. And you know, thank God for people out there that had the mindset to go ahead and, you know, keep some of this stuff, because you can't just automatically think it's always going to be there, because it's not. And again, it stayed pretty, you know.
They probably don't count on people like us, especially probably then, monitoring this stuff, you know, so they just think, you know, we'll just never notice this shit.
I really think that's exactly what it is, Chris. I mean, I really do. Let me show you this right here. Everybody kind of recognizes this model. I didn't show this model yet, but this is the one with the directional lines, right? It's the same thing, but look at the date here. It's 2016.
Yeah.
Look here, March or April 2016. Okay, so you're right in that time frame. And these just so everybody knows, the sun's over here on the right still, guys. Anything that I've been showing, the sun's on the right. So these arrows should never, ever be facing that way. Now, out here in front of our, like, see this? The bow shock out here in the front, our shield, yes, in front of that, you would see some stuff, like kind of back here behind us and things. We always fight back. The Earth has to fight back a little bit, so it changes the direction that stuff flows a little bit right around our planet. Yeah. And every once in a while, even nowadays, we'll catch it back here. Okay, going this far when we get massive solar storms that are expected, and we see this. Okay, but this right here is a complete. I mean, what happened? Okay, now if this whole thing just went blue, you could kind of chalk that up to like just a technical issue, right? Well, but then you got to look at this. Okay, the Earth's here. You can see how it's compressed, but you can see how the thing flipped.
Now, you haven't shown any other model quite like this before. Do you have something that shows what it looks like normally?
Yes, I do actually. Let me back off of that for a minute. This would be, and I tell you what, this would be a good segue just to go into what I want to talk about anyway. I'll just go into this. These are my pictures here. This is that same model. Okay, this is pretty normal looking. Okay, just so everybody knows.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, do you agree, Chris? I mean, when you go look at this, because I know you do.
I mean, yeah, that's definitely normal.
I mean, it's not like yes, we see these little whatever, but what's causing this is energy that's getting, hitting our shield and all those kinds of things. But why I've got you guys here, I want you, I've come across some things here as of late that are blowing my mind, because it just let me get in. I just have to explain it. Sorry. You notice here I say before and after, right? Okay. Oh. We just got through talking about missing data. Okay, look at the timestamp here. Okay, you have 2200 hours. This is all UTC, so everybody knows. And anybody that wants to know and wants to look at this for themselves, there's UTC calculators. Okay, they're free. All you got to do is you go to the website, you download the app, or you put it on your desktop on your PC, and you just plug in what time you have currently where you're at, and it will tell you what UTC time is.
Oh, yeah, you can even Google that.
Yes, it's very easy to do, but I get a lot of questions like that and it's a valid question, because some people what's UTC time?
Right.
Those are people that don't do research or haven't really looked at this before wouldn't really be, what's UT? Okay, that's what that is. That's universal time. That's what that stands for. That's the start time of everything, in case people didn't know. That's where they start. Right. It's got to have a starting point. So anyway, you got 2218, okay? And then down here you got 2247. There is no data on this tool in between there. It's gone. Okay? It happened once. Okay? We see this sometimes. But this particular tool gives us an image, I think, every 4 to 6 minutes. So, and that's something else we have to understand. It's not real time. These are all time lapse. These are captures in a model, and they put it in a time lapse when we're looking at it. It's not a continuous picture. So that's why the timestamps are important. So you got 2218 to 2247, roughly 20 some minutes, right? Okay. Now, what I want you guys to pay attention to is, you see the bow shock out here on the before?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's real dark and red. And then down here on the after, it's not. It's really, really light. Something else that I noticed, you see the yellow ring. Actually, I'll just zoom in for you guys so you can see better. that better?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
See the yellow, the faint yellow ring right around the Earth. Okay. And when we look at this graph, guys, the Earth is in the middle here. Okay. This black circle is just representing basically the outer edge where our satellites are at. That's basically the satellite orbits. Okay. That's what that is. A lot of people call it an occulter, but this in particular is not an occulter because it's not taking an actual capture, or it's not actually looking at anything. This is just simply taking data and putting it into a visible form for us to be able to see, have a better representation. Okay.
Yeah.
So here's the after. See how the yellow's gone? Okay, the red has gotten closer to the Earth.
Yeah.
Now I ain't saying it's hitting the Earth because you can't tell because the black is there. But our bow shock out here in front, I'm just going to call it our shield, guys, because that's what this is. And again, when you guys are looking at this, this is pretty much heat. You can think of this as heat. That's the temperature. You know, the redder it is, the hotter it is, the bluer it is, the colder it is. It's a very simple way to look at it, but it's a good way to get to understand it. So let me back that off like that. Now, I'm going to go ahead and, okay, see the timestamp here?
Yeah.
Okay, the date is the 21st. This is the day before. Before, dark. After, this is 31 minutes. We missed data again is what I'm saying. Roughly 19 minutes that time it looks like. Okay, but the before picture, look at this before and this after. Kind of keep that in your mind. Look at that. See how similar that is?
Yeah.
Okay, and this is just the other day, guys. This is 2019. I have to also say, look at the date here. I just showed you the one from 2016 that was the 23rd. Again, same time of year. This is why I'm bringing this up. Okay, this again, same type of signature. Another day, 22nd, different day. Missing in roughly how many minutes? Between 20 and 30 minutes every time. And it's never the exact same amount of minutes either, which tells me that it is not a tool malfunction. Okay, not to mention that all these befores are matching the befores and all the afters are matching the afters. What I'm saying here, guys, is something's happening in this missing data that they don't want us to see. They're getting a warning by this before picture.
But these reversals that we're seeing could possibly still be happening, and they're just completely scrubbing the data out.
Right. That's kind of where I'm going with this, because if you go look at some of the limited data we have of when we did have the reversals, these are very, very similar. And I showed you guys that one graph with the bow on the back that was pretty much a normal capture, but you could tell how it was, whatever. But here again, 21 minutes. Okay. This is on the 20th. I haven't even found the beginning of it yet. That's what I'm trying to say. So I did this. Okay. I hope you guys can kind of see this. This is kind of a good representation about what I'm trying to get across. Okay. All these are different days. Okay. These four up here, my editing software isn't the best. So I tried to put in a layout and it wouldn't let me move it around exactly how I wanted to. So this is the best way I could do it. But I'll go ahead and zoom in a little bit. We'll just show 2 days at a time. That way people can get it better. Okay. Now, before, after. Before, after. Okay. Look at the befores. And then look at the afters. See the bow shock out in front? How this is almost identical to this one on both of these different days.
Yeah.
Different times. Okay.
Very almost identical, yeah.
And then look at that. Both these befores are different day. That's a complete different day. And both the afters, look how similar these two afters are. I mean, something's happening here, and they're cutting this tool off. Is what I'm trying to say. They don't want us to see something. Something's going on. And frankly, I don't want to say that we're actually reversing that many times throughout the day. But I'm also not going to like discount that couldn't be happening. Cause I don't know. I really, honestly, I don't. That's just what it is. But, oh man, sorry.
Right. Now, one other thing that kind of has me, wondering about the whole possible Planet X thing is we've had a major increase in near Earth objects and actually asteroids and meteorites penetrating. I think it was on the 23rd, they had a meteor that actually went through someone's roof in Costa Rica, and they had it exploded in the sky and it hit the ground. And
Wow.
I've done many, many reports on meteors, coming close, leaving loud booms, many times in the past few weeks. So that's another thing that's
Yes.
definitely been increasing.
I mean, and yes, I agree. I mean, and all these things are happening at the same time. Okay. And I keep an eye on the human resonance too. Okay. Because that is going to be one of the key factors of what we're going to be able to see. Because not a whole lot of people even know how to go look at that graph. And that's just a simple fact. A lot of people don't even know what that is. The human resonance, for people that don't know, is the frequency the Earth puts off.
Kind of like the Earth's heartbeat.
Yes, very well said. That's definitely true. Now I got a graphic here. I want to show you guys just real quick. Actually, I'm going to go back over to my photos. Sorry about that. I don't do a whole lot of interviews or live shows or anything like that. I'm still trying to. This is the one I really wanted to show to you guys to kind of explain what's going on. Okay, this is something that Scott at Planet X News put together. He sent this over to me when he actually had some of this data and found it himself. So I'm going to get the draw tool out here a little bit, maybe. I'll try to use my cursor. But what this is, guys, is this is basically our solar system. Okay, we're looking at it kind of like at an angle from the sun, from behind the sun. Where the Earth is right here. Can you guys see my cursor?
Yeah, I can.
Is that good? I'll tell you what, let me do this. Is that better?
Okay. Yeah, I can see it. It's a little small, but I'm pretty sure we can see it.
I'll just do this then. Is that better?
Yeah.
Well, it ain't even gonna let me pull it down.
Oh, that's good. It's just the cursor itself was small, but we can see everything.
Oh, okay. Okay. Sorry about that. Anyway, you got the Earth right here. Okay. Now this says magnetic portal connection. Okay. That's that term right there itself would take a whole show to kind of explain what that is exactly. So I'm just going to use some basic terms here so we can at least get a good basic idea of what's going on. Basically what this is this is showing that here's the sun, here's the Earth. Okay, the sun's connected to the Earth, right? Well, we're also connected to this object out here. Okay, this is what this blue is. This is supposed to represent either Planet X, the black star, whatever object we want to call this. Okay, now notice, this is where it gets important, that all of us here are orbiting the sun basically on the ecliptic, which is the equator of the sun. If you could draw an imaginary line right down the sun and take it on out to the solar system, our planets would orbit on that line. Okay, this object up here is not doing that. It's in a highly elliptical orbit. What that means is it's tilted. It's orbiting the sun like this. Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so and here's some more evidence to what we're talking about here after I explain this. So what happened during that reversal is we're connected to the sun, we're connected to this object. Well, our sun's magnetopause, I guess you could say, or magnetic field, stretches out all the way to the end of our solar system. So what that means is the sun is also connected to this. All right. So when this thing's in its orbit, it comes, say it was over here. Okay, and it came up, and again, it's way up north. I'm just going to call it north. I don't know what else to call it here. and then it comes down, goes below the sun. Well, it comes back around, and when our connection gets broken by this, because basically if you draw a straight line, let me just I'm just going to get the draw tool out here. Okay, you draw a straight line from this to the sun, right?
Yeah.
When this, okay, here's us. So when this thing crosses this line, it's as if it's shorting out. Okay, let's do that. Still there?
Yeah.
Make sure. Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, what it is we got 3 different magnets, and when these 3 magnets interact, when this thing breaks that line, is when that reverses. Now, again, it's said that this thing is getting closer. In other words, its orbit is collapsing. What that means is each year it comes around, it doesn't go out as far. It'll go this direction, and then it'll get in this far, and then this far, till eventually it gets real close to the sun.
Now that's a much different orbit than, say, the usual 3,600 year sort of Planet 7X orbit that you see from a lot of the researchers.
Yes, it is. And that's what we're talking about here. There's a whole lot of different theories, guys. And like I said, this is theory. This isn't something that I can just 100% go out there and say, hey, this is exactly what is happening. So I honestly don't think that any of us can do that.
It's very interesting, though. I've never really heard quite that orbital path. But it to me, it makes more sense than the just elliptical slingshot theory, you know?
Right. Now, I will say this, I don't have them. I wish I had thought ahead of that, but there's actually a model that shows all the objects that the sun has absorbed in the past, can't remember how many years. It's been like 30, 40, 50 years. Okay. And it would amaze you to see the amount of objects it's actually captured into, and these objects are still orbiting the sun. Okay. It's just, we don't see them because they're out further than what we can. Unless they're, doing other stuff that's, again, then you start talking about sun simulation, you start talking, we know where that conversation goes. It's just a big, long thing. But what gives this back in 2012 some credibility of why this happened, okay? You have to know that if Earth is connected to the sun in this object, well, that makes sense that the rest of the planets are doing the same, correct?
Oh.
Okay, so what happens is, and this is just my own opinion, and I think that there's a lot of us that hold this opinion, that when certain alignments happen, like say we were aligned with Venus and Mercury at the same time we were aligned with this thing. I mean, would that make any sense? I mean, then you got 5 magnets.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
So, I mean, it just makes things even a little bit more chaotic and hectic. Now, back in 2012, any of us that have any age on us, or you don't even have to have age on you, I guess, but do you remember the stories? And I should have got the article, but when Mars, because this is Mars, all right, had its a global dust storm.
Dust storm, yeah.
You guys remember that?
Yeah, definitely.
Guess what? See the alignment here? See how close we are to Mars here? This is fairly accurate as far as positioning. Obviously, size isn't accurate here, but as far as positioning as where the planets were located at this day. This is exactly 4 days after that dust storm. So if you can picture in your mind this object doing this little orbit, it gets here, it connects to Mars, and Mars connects to it and the sun. All that happened exactly how I just said happened with the Earth, and it could have caused that dust storm because its whatever kind of shield it has, if it has any, I'm not sure if it does. It probably has a really, really weak one, I would think. But I'm not really sure. Sorry, I don't have that.
No, right. And also something kind of interesting. They just had a earthquake on Mars Trying to see what day it was. It was recently. It was a few days ago, but I'm reading the article right now. It was the first detected earthquake since the rover has been on Mars.
Yeah, they physically. Yeah, you're right. That article. I actually read about the first couple paragraphs of that. But you're exactly right. They caught. This the first time they physically caught or were able to detect an earthquake on Mars. So it happens on Mars just like it does here on the Earth. And so what I'm saying is, when this came around here, it did that, and this is possibly what caused that great freaking global wide dust storm on Mars. And then 4 days later, we did the same thing here, and it flipped our magnetopause. So I mean, that the timeline there is just, in my mind, too coincidental.
You know, and now that I'm thinking about it, we also have all the water anomalies around the same time. The tides receding or coming in on different sides of the planet, on opposite sides of the planet. That strange phenomenon that we saw, it is around the same time as well.
Right. You're exactly right, Chris. And that is all that plays into this. And because when you see like data like I just showed, those videos that they scrub, you can go out there, and I think there's 2 videos that I was able to find that's still there. And they're not on, I don't know if they're on YouTube, but I was actually Google searched them. One of them is actually from Ben, a suspicious observer. He has some of this data. And I can't remember who the other one was out there, but I didn't, on one of them, there was no audio, number one. Number two, they're so old, most people aren't going to search. It's not going to come up in a search engine is what I'm trying to say. You're going to have to be specifically looking for this to find it. And so what would cause anybody to look for this? Nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
unless we have prior knowledge, and that's why I'm so thankful to my subscribers, because I'm telling you, man, I've learned more from them and from other channels than I have ever learned on my own, especially the subscribers. They got some great ideas. And, that's where I go with this, because there's a whole lot of things that I would love to be able just to sit down with everybody individual. And on the prior shows that I've done with you, Chris, I actually try to show people how to use the tools. And I want them not to believe me. I want them to go look for themselves and find this stuff on their own. And something else I have to say is that we're not always going to agree with each other's theories. It's just not going to happen. Okay? It doesn't make one or the other completely wrong, but we also have to keep ourselves grounded because you know what I call this? I call this reverse dogma. We catch ourselves in this research, and we think something's this way no matter what, that we actually produce a reverse dogma out onto everybody else because we won't accept any of it. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, I've had to learn to shed that a long time ago, because it got me in trouble doing, I caught myself doing that quite often. But yeah, you have to keep an open mind about everything. I mean,
you have to keep an open mind, and you also have to keep grounded. And what I say by that is that there are things out there that are so far out there that it's just like, really?
Well, yeah, you have to use your intuition and common sense.
Yes.
And just mainly go by your gut, because your gut will tell you many times, it'll give you the right answer.
You are so right on it, man. I mean, honestly, and the people that I associate myself with, as far as anybody, the researchers, my subscribers, the people that I try to, like, when I get emails and stuff, I try to respond to every one of them. But it does get, as of late, it's gotten really, really hard because my channel's growing. I think I got a little over 15,000 subs now. But
Congratulations.
Well, thank you. After I showed this one video right here that I'm talking about now, I got like 250 emails the next day. I have a family, 3 kids, and a great wife, and a job. I mean, it's almost impossible, what I'm saying, to get to all that in a timely manner. But I try. So if I'm delayed if anybody's watching this that has sent me stuff, please understand that I do read all of them. I really do. I may not respond very fast sometimes, but it's just because I simply don't have the time.
Yeah.
But I do want to show another. You got a couple more minutes, Chris?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay. there's a couple more things that I really want to show you guys, because I want people to understand what we're, you know, where we get our information from. Okay, because I hear so much like, well, where's this coming from? I don't understand this and I don't understand that. And you never would understand it unless somebody shows you what was going on. So what I'm going to do, I think I got, yeah, I'm going to show this website here. This is planetxnews.org. No thanks, I'm not reading nothing right now. Okay, this is Scott Sion's website. He's got this all set up. There's great articles. Actually, if you look at this stuff, this is actually kind of the stuff that we talk about a lot. There was some stuff during some CMEs here as of late that actually, when the energy shot out from the sun, you could see it going around objects. It was, yeah, it's pretty intense. But why I got you here is the main reason I go here, number one, is read these articles. But number two, if you guys go to planetxnews.org, any tool that I look at, there's links for right here.
Nice.
Okay, all this stuff is here.
Yeah, that's a good tool there.
It's awesome. Okay, now, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take you to one of the tools I go to a lot. Obviously, CME Tracker, right? I mean, we go there. I mean, there's whenever there's CMEs. Okay, so you know, what are we looking at, right? I mean, that's the first question somebody's going to ask. I understand that this can be kind of daunting to look at, but trust me, it's very, very simple. You see the key up here? Okay. What these are, you know, it tells you what these objects are.
Right.
Now, yeah. So if we're looking at the sun, the spiral graph over here, it's as if we're looking down on top of our solar system.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, we just got through talking about our connection, you know, to the sun, right? That's what these dashed or intermittent line segments are. You can see how the sun's connected to everything.
Yeah.
Oops, sorry about that. I wish I could pause this. Where the heck it is to pause it? Oops. Okay. Anyway, I'll just leave it like it is. The yellow dot here. Good Lord, what'd I do? Anyway, I'm just gonna let's go back here. Can I do that? Sorry, man.
No, man, you're good.
Let's see if I can't just. Wish it was just. Hate to hit escape, because if I hit escape, it may knock me all the way off this call. Yeah, I just won't do it. Anyway, you got the Earth here, right? Okay,
right.
Can you guys see that? Actually, I'm gonna.
Yeah.
This is really bugging me. Goodness, let's do this. Let's just go back into it. How about that? That'll be better for all of us, I think. So I don't want to drop the call here. If I do that, then it's like really sucks.
No, that is a cool tool on this site, though.
Yeah. So what we got here, guys, is again, the sun's the big right here in the middle. This is the Earth. Well, here's Mercury, and you guys can see my cursor, correct? Can you see that, Chris?
Yeah.
I know it's kind of small. Okay. This out here is Venus. This green dot. Okay. Venus is very volatile, guys. Venus, a lot of times stuff comes off the sun because of Venus. Just letting you guys know that. But then you got these satellites. Okay. We got stereo B, which is blue, stereo A, which is red. All right. And I'm just going to stop there because that's really what I wanted to talk about. And then you got two more satellites out here in the front of the Earth. Okay. These stereo A and stereo B, you see this circle?
Yeah.
That's the orbit of the Earth around the sun. These satellites out here are doing the same orbit, but they're behind and in front of the Earth. Okay. And they always look at the sun. All right. They're not these two satellites will never, ever look at Earth. You'll never see Earth in the view of these satellites. Okay. Now, stereo B has been shut off years ago. They said it had a technical. Yeah. Did you guys see that? My internet connection's unstable, so if I lose you, I'm sorry. We do have some big storms around. Anyway, that's that new, this green one here is that Parker SP. You guys remember that story? How it was going to like go into the sun's corona?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, that's that satellite right there. And you can see that the sun even connects to the satellites. So that I thought that was interesting. But just know that these are the two satellites. Now, stereo A, when we're talking about core 2 data, for anybody that watches any of this stuff, that's where that data comes from. Okay, so now that we know where we're at, we got SDO out here in the front of the Earth. Okay, and we got SOHO. Those are two other satellites. And I'm saying, I know this is kind of hard to follow, but I'm saying this because it's important. SOHO and SDO always look at the sun. So when we see something, and I'm gonna X out of this and take you to my close. No, I don't want to close all tabs. All right, let's do. Okay. So when we're talking about like CMEs, right? We always hear about CMEs.
Yeah.
Okay. This is the SDO view. Okay. What I want you guys to pay attention to is this sunspot over here. I'm going to show you 3 different images from 3 different satellites. Okay. The different positions. This is out in front of the Earth. So it's SOHO. You see this?
Yeah.
Now this here is stereo A. That's the same sunspot. So when we talk about CMEs Earth facing, what we're talking about, SOHO and SDO gives us our best chance to see what is going on. Okay, so I want everybody to understand that, because that's a big thing that people can't understand. How do we know if a CME is Earth facing? And this all goes back to the reversal that we were just talking about, because if it's not Earth facing, it's not a danger to us for the most part. So if you guys are looking at these tools, just know that these are this is the difference. Okay, stereo A is out. Basically, you can say that it's out to the left. This is a view as if you're where that satellite's at. So SOHO and SDO would be like if you go outside your front door and look up at the sun. That's pretty much what this view is.
Right.
So when we're looking at CMEs, please go look at these two first. Anybody that wants to go look. And I'm sorry I went into that, but I really wanted people to understand that. Because
no, that's good information. You know, people, it's good for people to know this in case they want to, you know, there is a CME and they want to take a look.
Right. You know, because I found myself relying on so many other people just trying to figure out what was going on. You know, with anything really, it got to the point where it was like, man, I hate to wait on somebody's video just to, you know what I mean? Just to go look.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I mean, I just think that's, you know, and I'm going to take you guys back here and I'm going to show you this reversal again, because this is really my main thing tonight. I really wanted to show this to you guys. I hope you guys understand how important this is not to let go. Because it's still happening. We got this, like I said. Okay, we'll get over here to where we
possibility that's happening quite frequently.
Yes, right now with what I've just discovered on yes, and that's exactly right. I will take you guys back to those pics, because that probably is the most I guess relevant to what we need to look at right now. And again, guys, I don't even know when it started yet. I just don't. Where the heck did this go? Wow, my photos aren't there.
You know, the mainstream media, they tell us about, you know, the magnetic reversal, how magnetic north is moving. I feel as it's just basically the smallest way they can cover their asses, just to say, oh, well, we did tell you. You know, they'll mention it once, and, you know, these few mainstream outlets will talk about it once, and then that'll be it. So just so they could say, oh, we know, we did tell you that it's a possibility. You know, that's how I feel that they're operating with this.
I agree. That is something that I think we all have to, keep in mind, because they're going to try to do whatever they can do to not let us see the big events. And what's the reason for that is because they know they can't control us once we know the truth. That is the whole purpose of me even having a channel. That's what I do. That and me and you talked before here. We just want everybody to get our information. And I will say this too. The real truth's going to come from where all of our truths overlap. None of us have it all, but all of us have some of it. And that's how I do. That's how I approach this. I think it's very important that we keep that mindset. At the same time, though, we have to keep grounded. We can't just go way out in left field. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you got to know what,
we just can't go crazy.
What's not possible.
Even here's another thing that we have to take in consideration. Even if it is actually that way, you're never going to get anybody to accept it unless you get them coming in on something like this. Baby steps is basically what I'm saying. When I first started researching this and getting into this, obviously I thought it was all nuts. I mean, I think most of us do, at some level, because we're so indoctrinated and taught different things that we don't think anything is going to, happen. And I don't typically go into the religious aspect of any of this, but I will say this, that, I always say this: Jesus has been coming back for 2,000 years. You know what I mean? Ever since I was a kid, I'm a Christian, so that's where my faith lies. So what I'm saying is that we can't just jump out and say something's going to happen tomorrow. I'm very timid of date setting. I agree with like timeline setting, like a gap, like a time frame, and not necessarily a specific day. You see what I'm getting at there?
Yeah, now, I mean, 5, 10 years, whatever, whatever
right.
Case may be.
And pole reversal and all those kinds of things. We can't 100% know what's going to happen. We can get close. We can have a good idea. But, the fact of the matter is, none of us have ever been here on this planet during any of that stuff. So how can we even, we like to, I know it sounds kind of bad, but we like to think that we're smarter than what we really are. And that's just not the case. There's some things that we're not going to know until it just happens. That's why we do make observations. But, for me, I try to find patterns. And I think that's what's happening right here, guys. There's a pattern here, and this goes back, guys. It's still happening right now. This is something, and there was something else I didn't show here, but there was a couple imaging that I caught a before and an after. But the image before that was only 30 seconds prior to that. This tool has never done that. There's always 6 minutes between imaging here. So why would they do 30 seconds and then all of a sudden kill the data? To me, it's like they're either stitching in data here, or they're just shutting it off because they see the before signature. They're like, oh God, we got to shut that off before people see it. And to me, that's what's going on. Whether this is reversing in this small amount of time, which I kind of don't think that it is all the way. And, I'm not saying it ain't possible, because it is. But to me, that kind of an event would happen and it would stay for hours, upwards of over a day, and then go back and stay that way. Because what I just explained with, the magnetic connections, you're not going to get that thing jumping back and forth that many times, is what I'm saying. Okay. Now, the only way that could possibly be happening, it wouldn't be happening this fast, but if that orbit has gotten inside into our inner solar system, Scott has come up with his theory is, it's kind of on a 28-day orbit around, because we're catching it in the corona of the sun sometimes, at least an object.
Yeah, I've seen some of those photos.
And, those are pretty intense. And I guess I'll show you one here real quick. That one right there. This right here, guys, was from last night. Look at this. 2.3 million miles per hour. Scott sent me this. That's how fast the solar winds was going.
Ooh.
Yeah. Okay. And here's the thing. You see how this reaction, that isn't so dramatic, is it?
No, we've seen similar.
Yes. I've seen worse.
Yeah.
With having 400 or 500 over here instead of 1,033. Basically half the speed. And I think what's going on is, we think it's all about the speed, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's about the weight of the ball that you bowl with, right? So
Yeah.
you see what I'm getting at? So you throw a bunch of ions juiced up at us, even slow, is going to hit us hard. That, and we're getting weaker. They've actually came out and said, hey, our magnetic field's getting weaker. It is. It's a simple fact, because it will during a minimum anyway, but this is something that's even past that. So, there's that graph again. I'll show this one, and then I guess we'll end it. But this is a CME that happened just the other day. Okay, this is core 2. Here's basically the CME. Number 1, that's an odd shape. That's what hit me right at first. I was like, what the heck?
Yeah.
So I'll zoom in here, but you can see.
I've seen plenty of CMEs to where it looks like it's wrapping around the edges of another object at the edge of its flare.
That's exactly what this is what I'm trying to say. You said it for me. Thank you. Because if you look at that, that's what it looks like, right? And I've had, yes. I did a video on this, and Scott, actually, Scott Sion over at Planet X News, he has some very, very good photo editing software. So he's able to upgrade the definition of this stuff. And when he does that, see all these squares that we're seeing?
Yeah, the pixels.
The pixelization goes away. So what that does is it allows you to really get a good look of what's going on. This is just not, number one, this shape right here, I have never, ever seen a CME come off like that. It's normally like a loop, and then it shoots on out. Yeah. I mean, do you agree with that? I mean, I don't know that I've ever seen like a big ball like this.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible that it's just the moment that he snapped this screenshot, that's what it looked like, but, it's hard to tell.
Right. Exactly. And that's the whole thing, and that's why, and we actually caught this on different tools. So it was something that we were able to, and like I said, I mean, that's a whole nother episode of conversation, because it just is. I mean, there's so much to talk about there. And that's why I'm just giving you the basic, but this just happened the other day. And, we're seeing CMEs come off the sun where there are no sunspots. That's concerning.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen usually. Usually what will cause that to happen is either what we call a sun diver, like a comet that dives into the sun. Sometimes the sun will, react to it and eject a little bit. Or so basically what I'm saying is another object has to be close by, or at least interacting with the sun, for the sun to have an ejection where there is no sunspot, because there is no disruption there. The positive and negative are in a passive state. So again, third magnet, you know what I'm saying? You had that third magnet polarity in there, and it causes so much problem. And that's why I have to keep going back to this, because that's really what I think is what caused this stuff. And the fact that there's missing data that they tried to scrub, they obviously, I don't think that they can ever scrub all of it, because there's just too many of us that have stuff, right? I mean, we'll continually keep doing things, and there's other stuff that happens in the background that people don't understand. Any of us that get even kind of close to the truth at all, you'll see situations happen, and you have to wonder, and you have to ask yourself. And then again, I don't live in fear. I don't. That's, if you see the beginning of my intro and stuff, it's no fear from the beginning, because I don't fear any of this. I don't fear death. I don't fear any of that kind of stuff. I don't worry about stuff I cannot control. I can't control any of this. The reason I do this is to bring awareness to people, so they know that there is something going on, and we need to be aware of it to the point that we need to prepare a little bit. Some people like to prepare a lot, and that's fine too. But, for me, I prepare in a way that it's stuff that I can use even if nothing happens. I prepare as if we're going to be without power for, you know, a month, like during a bad tornado or something. You see what I'm getting at? And that's just for me, you know. Some people like that extra, you know. Adam Marfugo calls it. He doesn't even call it prepping anymore. He calls it insurance. I think that's a really good analogy. I really do.
Yeah. I mean, it's always a good idea to be prepared. I mean, just even to have, you know, a couple of at least a week's extra water and canned food, just to have something, you know. You never know what could happen, even if, you know, even if we're just crazy tinfoil hat wearing fools and all of this is nonsense. It's always good to be prepared for something.
Yes, and I think that, and again, you know, I will say this, that this is why the main reason I do show satellite captures and things like that, because there's so many questions on other things that happen, like somebody taking a picture, you know, the sky, which a lot of those are very, very valid, but we know that that's hard to prove. It really is. It's not a secret. I mean, that's just anybody.
I don't even really analyze photos anymore because it is too hard to tell with, you know, lens flares and the lens anomalies and everything that goes along with it. You know, it's just too hard to analyze some of that stuff.
You know, in my opinion, when we see something like on our cameras that's like really close to us in our skies, like inside our atmosphere, for example, or just outside, I tend to go with, you know, Jeff P. and his sun simulation theory. I think we see lenses and things way before we could ever see a huge planet right there. I just don't see how it's physically possible to have a planet that close with me and you still having a conversation right now.
Right.
You know, I tell a lot of people that you're not going to go outside and put your hand on your knee, look up at the sky like you're Luke Skywalker and see three suns. That's just not going to happen. But that's just me, guys. I mean, and that's just my own opinion. I will say that's my opinion. And me and Jeff, we've been working on some stuff too together in the background on a matrix theory, and I can go into that later in a different show if you want me to, Chris.
Definitely. I'm gonna have to have Jeff back on too. It's been a while.
Yeah, he's awesome. Great information. Him and Scott both. You know, it's just there's so much there to try to absorb all at once that there's no way that we could do it all in one show and stuff like that. And that's why I do try to. I'm sorry if I use too many basic terms here. I really just try to explain so everybody could get at least some sort of understanding. You know,
no, that's why I have you on, because you explain it, you know, awesomely. You explain it to where everyone can understand it. Everyone can do their own research and look at the data themselves. Yeah, it's great. And the stuff you've come up with, the research you've been doing on these this magnetopause is awesome. It's great information. Everybody needs to see this. And Mark, thank you so much for coming on again, man.
Thanks for having me, man. I'm gonna stop sharing so they can see our face. You got that?
Yeah, we got you.
You got to sleep? Okay. Yeah, I mean, and thank you, Chris. I really appreciate the platform you provide here, man. I watch your videos every time. I look forward to them. You get great guests on here. You're not, you know, pushy and trying to lead people into certain conversations and things. You let people say what they need to say, and that's few and far between. So you really deserve a lot of credit for that. So.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate that. And once again, thanks for coming on. That was absolutely fantastic information. Everybody, go check out Blue Kool-Aid. Send me those links to everything so I can put that in the description along with the link to your channel and everything.
I sure will, man. Sounds good, buddy.
All right, man. You have a great night.
Yep. God bless everybody.